The movie begins with Diana, who also is known as Wonder Woman, arrived in an abandoned-looking town. As she gets closer, she notices men with guns watching her from every corner. She remains alert as she makes her way to the town bar. Once she notices a safe spot, she gets off her horse and enters a bar, and finds it filled with men. Everyone immediately stops what they are doing and watches her as she orders a glass of whiskey for herself. Just then, a man approaches her and starts flirting with her. Diana tells him to go away, but the man ignores her and is about to grab her when she pulls out her lasso and attacks him. Noticing their fight, a few men join in, but Diana manages to take them all down. All of a sudden, the man pulls out a gun and points it at her. However, before he can shoot, Jonah Hex appears behind them and shoots the gun out of the man's hand. He then apologizes to Diana for his men's behavior and invites her in for a drink. When she joins him, she questions what happened to his face. He vaguely tells her that he had trusted the wrong people. Then he explains to her that the people in the town had taken over the town's bank after the bank repossessed their land. Diana tells him that he had probably done something which was illegal and that had led to the townsfolk taking over the bank. Hex then offers her a job and tells her that she can stay in the town and help him maintain law and order. All of a sudden, they hear the town's gates open and a horse carriage comes out. The carriage stops in front of Hex's men, and the man inside tells them that he only wants to take his family away from the town in peace. However, the men grab his collar and throw him out of the carriage. They begin beating him up, but his wife, unable to watch her husband take a beat, jumping in front of her husband and begs for mercy. Just as the man is about to grab his gun, one of Hex's men shoots both of them and kills them. Their daughter, who had begun watching them, screams for her parents, but soon notices the men heading towards her. Diana, who had been watching everything with Hex, whistles for her horse and jumps on him. Then she shoots the man who was aiming at the young girl and grabs her before rushing towards the gate. Both sides begin firing at each other while Diana safely makes it inside the gates. She tells the young girl that she now needs to be brave before getting back on her horse. Prepared to leave. However, a man named Batlash stops her and asks her for her name, but just as she is about to reply, someone announces that Hex's men are approaching the gate. Diana watches as Hex lights up a bomb and sends the carriage towards them. She tells Batlash to shoot at the carriage's legs, but it does not stop and an explosion occurs just as she pushes Batlash aside. Everyone watches in awe as she gets up and wonders how she's not dead. Meanwhile, Hex's men reach the gates and begin shooting. Diana gets up and uses her lasso to take down his men. This is when she notices Hex loading up a machine gun. He starts firing at her, but she manages to dodge the bullets. She then destroys his machine gun before heading back towards Batlash. The sheriff of the town tells her that Hex and his men will now kill them while they are starving and thirsty. She reveals that there's a store filled with supplies, but the sheriff tells her that Hex will never let them take anything. Batlash offers to take the supplies, but tells Diana that he needs a distraction. Back at the bar, Hex orders himself a drink when some of his men show up behind him. They question his authority and his ability to fight with the townsfolk, and this does not sit well with him. He brings out a stopwatch and tells them that they only have a minute to decide on what they want. Halfway through, the stopwatch jams and Hex turns around and shoots the men dead. Later that night, Diana and Batlash arrive at the store. She beats up the guards and then jumps onto Hex's balcony while Batlash loads up on supplies. As she sneaks into his office, Hex calls out to her and begins flirting with her. Diana punches Hex and then uses her lasso to restrain him. This is when he reveals that he had hijacked a train, that he was headed for the barricade and filled it with nitro. When it explodes, it will kill everyone inside. Just then, Diana hears Batlash making his way out of the store and follows him. With Hex's men firing at them, Diana shoots back until they read the barricade. She then tells Batlash to get everyone away from the barricade while she heads towards the train. She kicks Hex's men off the train and alerts the townsfolk that the train is about to hit the barricade. Meanwhile, the sheriff tells the townsfolk that they are crazy to leave the barricade because Hex and his men will kill them. Elsewhere, Wonder Woman pulls the tracks apart and tries to direct the train away from the townsfolk. However, the train crashes and causes a big explosion. The townsfolk notice Diana coming out of the smoke, and Batlash offers her a place to stay with them. Before she can agree, Hex shows up behind them and shoots Batlash, killing him. Angry, Diana blocks his bullets and punches him until he is bloody. Then she leaves the town. The scene changes to Skartaris, where several men are seen dead on a battlefield. A warlord named Travis Morgan is seen fighting against a mercenary wearing a Batman mask. He manages to take the mercenary down and takes him as a prisoner. Just as they are about to take the mercenary to the dungeon where he will be put to work for them along with other prisoners, the mercenary tells them that if they are planning on ambushing Demios, they need his help. He offers to take them to the place where Demios is hiding in exchange for his freedom. The warlord contemplates his offer and soon agrees. The next day, the warlord along with the mercenary and several other men leave to find Demios and take him down. After a long day of traveling, the warlord stops, and while his men wear the area for possible dangers, he begins questioning the mercenary. He asks him where he is from, but the mercenary seems to not know where he is from and instead tells the warlord to mind his own business. By nightfall, as everyone gathers around the fire to rest, the mercenary tells the warlord that Demios is rumored to be past the Desert of Dreams where men get visions. He then begins telling the group that he was offered money to kill the king of Skartaris. Before he can say anything else, they hear a loud noise and prepare for the attack. All of a sudden, a group of rhinos run past time, killing several men. The warlord is about to get attacked as well, but the mercenary manages to save him at the last minute. The mercenary then climbs up on a tree and searches for what the rhinos were running from. This is when he notices a dinosaur heading their way. Not deterred by the large animal, the warlord takes his sword and takes it down. The group then continues moving, and they soon find themselves on a ship trying to cross the river. Just then, one of the men spots something in the water beneath them. Before he can warn anyone, a large sea monster attacks their ship, causing it to break. The warlord commands everyone to reach the shore as soon as possible, but the mercenary gets stuck. However, just as the monster is about to attack him, the warlord drags him towards the shore and manages to save his life. All of a sudden, a hologram of an old man appears in the middle of the ocean, and he begins talking to the mercenary and keeps asking him if it is really him before disappearing again. The mercenary realizes that these were the visions that the men were talking about. The group then proceeds to climb up a mountain when they notice a dragon flying towards them. The dragon drags the warlord's warriors from the mountain, killing them. The mercenary manages to save Machista from getting killed, but Mariah gets taken by the dragon. When they finally arrive at the top of the mountain, they find a cave opening. Machiste steps forward, and just as he steps inside the cave, his body burns until his bones are left behind. Watching his men get killed one by one, the warlord wants to give up. He tells the mercenary that he is no match for Demios' magic. The mercenary ignores him and disables wiring nearby and steps into the cave. The cave is filled with traps, but the two of them manage to avoid all of them. However, just as they think they are safe, they hear the roar of another monster approaching them. They begin running and get trapped in a corner when the mercenary tricks the warlord and traps him in a cage with the monster. He then heads towards the end of the cave and enters a room filled with gold. He notices Mariah and Wonder Woman tied there and asks the other woman who she is, but she tells him that her ship was wrecked, and after that she could not remember anything. Their conversation is interrupted by Demios, who asks the mercenary if he has completed his mission and replies that he has and that the warlord is now dead. Demios tells the mercenary that he will only get paid if he kills the two women held hostage. When he refuses to kill them, Demios starts shooting at him. Just as he runs out of bullets, the warlord shows up with the monster's severed head. Demios then transforms into a giant snake and begins attacking the group. Despite everyone's efforts, they are unable to defeat him. This is when the warlord recalls who he is and picks up the gun that Demios was using and shoots the snake in the eye. Injured, Demios tells them that he will get his revenge before disappearing. The mercenary and Wonder Woman invite the warlord to their home, but he tells them that he's the king of Skartaris and his people need him. The scene then changes to Grover's Mill, where Clark Kent is sent to a crime scene with Agent Faraday. They are told that a strange light was seen in the sky and witnesses saw a UFO in the sky. The two of them head into a diner where they question multiple witnesses about what they saw. They tell Clark that they saw an alien running towards the woods and they think that it is in the room with them. All of a sudden, Clark begins to hear the music in his head. When he complains about it, he is told that the music is off. He then goes to wash his face and is confronted by a man named Bruce and a woman named Miss Prince. They tell him that they have been hearing music and can see visions that feel like memories as well. Just then another man joins them and tells Clark that Bruce and Miss Prince are aliens and insists that he shoots them. When Clark does not respond, he tries to steal his gun, but Clark manages to push him away at the last minute. However, the man gets up and transforms into an alien. They realize that all of the witnesses except for Bruce and Miss Prince. The three of them then take a car to get away from the aliens, but they continue following them despite their efforts to kill them. Finally, they reach a chamber where they find a Martian trapped on a bed surrounded by torture devices. Just as they hear the aliens entering the chamber as well, they immediately hide and find that the aliens are torturing the Martian for information. They defeat the aliens and rescue the Martian, who tells them that his name is John and he was sending them visions so that they could help him. They help him get up when all of a sudden Lobo appears behind them and attacks them, causing all of them to lose consciousness. First one to wake up, and she finds that there are clones being created of powerful beings. Elsewhere, Mongol claims that he was torturing the Martian because he holds the key to the warworld. Meanwhile, the three superheroes try to recall who they were when their suits appear in front of them. They wear them and notice a hologram of Mongol behind them, who tells them that he's going to kill the last remaining Martian. Bruce tells Wonder Woman and Superman that they need to rescue him and rush to help him. However, as soon as Mongol spots them, he unleashes all the alien force on them. While they fight against the aliens, Wonder Woman tells Ja'an that they need to leave soon because there are too many aliens for them to fight. However, instead of listening to them, Ja'an merges with an alien and tells Mongol that the legends he had heard were correct, but what he did not know was that the key to the warworld was stored in 2 pieces. He then sets the world to self-destruct before disappearing. Before he leaves, he tells them that everyone that they had seen in Warworld was an illusion, and that none of the people they saw exist in real life. When the 3 heroes realize what is about to happen, they try to look for an escape route, but quickly discover that they are trapped. Just then, a woman emerges from the fire and tells the 3 of them that they cannot die just yet, since they have many more important things to take care of. The woman teleporting them to another world just as they witness Warworld blowing up. The end. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.